Awesome. Thank you. Cynthia, would you like to say a couple words?
Sure, just a couple. Thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate it. Just want you to know that we're excited about this program and what it's going to do for the ecosystem. We thank you guys for your interest and we're excited about your applications. We can't wait to see what you guys are all up to. So thanks for joining, and back over to you, Eve, to get us started.
Great, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see that? Perfect. All right, so we will get started. Like I said, we're going to spend the first section of this presentation going over what the network is, why we created it, and what we hope to do for you all. Then we'll go into the specific application procedure, as well as some questions and some tips and tricks. Oops. All right, so we'll start with this overview. So the Innovate Alabama network is what we're all here to talk about today. So what we've done is we've attempted to create this network in order to connect you all together, to connect our ecosystem partners, and to create a more unified and robust innovation ecosystem throughout the state of Alabama. So some of the things that we're hoping to do with the network is we're hoping to disperse funding, grant funding specifically, which we'll talk about a little bit more today. Connect assets, so connect you all that are doing really great things across the state to create a more unified innovation ecosystem, and then give you all resources. And so just to be clear, when I talk about ecosystem partners and those that are a part of this specific program, I'm talking about communities and counties such as yourselves, nonprofit entities, and educational organizations in the state. And just as a note, we've had some interest for some from some for-profit organizations who would love to be part of the network themselves. So that's something we're thinking about and will potentially roll out later this year. All right, so the program that we're talking about right now, the designation program, the main goal is to help provide you all with funding and those resources. And so we have 3 different sub-programs. The one that we're going to be talking about today is the Innovative Communities component, so specifically for you all for counties. So some of the benefits of this program, why we're doing this, is we want to develop more robust relationships between you all and Innovate Alabama as an organization. We also want to create a more standardized and transparent mechanism for igniting some of the innovation initiatives you all have through seed funding. And then lastly, we want to recognize the diversity of the innovation ecosystem partners we have in the state. So, you know, throughout Innovate Alabama's existence, we've heard from so many different and diverse organizations that are doing great things for innovation, both rural and urban, and we want to create a program that brings you all together and recognizes those for you for those efforts. So just a brief overview for the application and the designation component. So for both communities, municipalities, nonprofits, the general process is the same to receiving this designation. So you'll submit an application with us, which we'll go over in some more detail later. We'll score it on the back end, and then you'll receive, if you do receive a designation, you'll receive that, as well as up to $250,000 in award funding. And so this initial award is a one-time amount of money that you all will get just for joining and being accepted to the network. And then on top of that, there'll be additional benefits as well. So back to benefits. So again, once you make it through this process and you do earn a designation, you will earn up to $250,000 in award funding. And you'll receive ongoing access to the Innovate Alabama network. And so what that means is those who receive a designation will be an innovative county community. They'll be a part of the network in perpetuity. But you'll also have the opportunity to apply for additional grant funding on top of that up to $250,000 award. So some of the benefits to you all in addition that come with being a part of this network, we're trying to create a unified and effective network of participants that are committed to expanding innovation throughout Innovate Alabama's pillars. And again, as we continue to go through, we are going to, or as we continue this network forward, we're hoping to roll out more opportunities for funding, more resources, and things of that for our partners. So we'll take a little bit of time to go through the application process. So first, do you qualify? So any municipality, county, or federally recognized tribe in Alabama qualifies for a designation. And one thing that we want to note, though, is that we know that there are different organizations a part of county structures. And so your county can only receive one designation. So, you know, an industrial board of the county can't also apply for that designation. It would just be the county itself. There are some different organizations that we know counties have, like a chamber of commerce, for example. And so organizations associated with a county, but if they have their own 501c3 status that's, you know, separate from the county, can apply for that entity program. But the county itself and associated county organizations, a part of the municipal, you know, government, can only apply for this one. Awesome. So where can you find the application materials? They are online on the innovatealabama.org website. If you go to the website in the top right, there's this button here that says programs. In that drop-down menu, you'll see the Innovate Alabama Network. Click on that link, and then you can scroll down. You'll see this innovative community designation little box, and then you can click on the program summary, apply here in the asset inventory document to get those materials that you'll need to apply. And so the three materials listed, the program summary lists the specific guidelines to applying, the rules, more specifics to the program, as well as specifics as to funding and things of that nature. The application itself, that apply here button, lists the application will ask you all to fill out and to send back. And then the blank inventory asset template, I'll go into a little bit in some more detail. Awesome. So here's a little bit more about the application process and the timeline. So for folks who would like to receive a designation, we ask that you fill out this innovation asset inventory document and a narrative application. So those are the two steps required to earn a designation. And then when you earn your designation, you can win up to $250,000 as a one-time award for earning that designation. However, in addition with this initial application, you can also submit a grant application for additional funding on top of that award. So this funding can be used to do a specific innovation related project and should be aligned with the narrative application that you submitted. So those are the three kind of steps of materials we're asking you all to send in. Then we'll score on the back end. You'll receive a designation and up to $250,000 as an initial award. You may also receive a grant at that time if you applied for one. And then we'll ask you to report at the 6th and 12th month mark as to what you've done with both the award funding and the grant funding if you received it. So the first step for that designation is completing the innovation asset assessment. And so this doesn't have any weight or bearing on the community's total score, but what it does is it helps us on the back end try and compile a list of all of the assets across the state. One of the things that Innovate Alabama is attempting to do is to make sure that we know what assets we have in Alabama and can, you know, move or can direct, right, companies moving into the state or other people looking for these resources, we can connect them. So what we're asking you all to do is to download this Excel document from the website and fill it out with the assets that are in your community. And specifically, we'd love to know what assets you have, how they impact your ecosystem, and then specifically would love to know if they enhance or if they strengthen a marginalized community, marginalized entrepreneurs, as well as if they lead to a broader regional effort as well. So the example down here kind of shows that. We ask you to fill that out. Please include an address if it's a physical asset as well. And so just a little bit, what is an innovation asset? This is a non-exhaustive list, but the way that Innovate Alabama is thinking about innovation ecosystems is it's the overlap of three of these things. So it's the overlap of people, places, and resource assets. So people are related to assets that improve the workforce. So some of those assets may be innovation partnerships, or practitioners, community educators, things in this people category. And then we also have places. So that's the physical assets that your community may have. So those could be computer spaces, wet labs that you have, commercialization offices, etc. And then lastly, the last type of asset we have are resources. And so those are both the programmatic and financial resources that your community may have to help increase an innovation ecosystem. And so these are non-exhaustive. If you have more questions about what may be an innovation asset in your community, you can send an email to the partners at innovatealabama.org email, and we can get back to you. And then there's also materials on the website, as well as the initial Hoover report, which can give you some more context. So then the second part of earning that designation is completing the narrative application. So this is an open-ended application where we're asking you all to talk about the existing innovation efforts that your communities are doing. So we're going to ask you 4 questions specifically about how your efforts, assets, planned or existing, contribute to Innovate Alabama's people focus, place focus, resource focus, and then lastly, how your assets or programming lead to a more regional innovation ecosystem. So those are the 3 questions. And this is the bulk. This is how your application will be scored, your answers to this part. So we ask that your answers be limited to about 1,000 words each for 1 through 4. And then, so those are the 2, the asset assessment and this narrative application, that will lead to whether or not you get a designation and that initial award. If you do choose to apply for additional grant funding for a project on top of that, these are the requirements that we ask for you to include in your application. So you're also allowed to apply for grant funding for a project that should be directly tied to that application, the narrative application you submitted. With that grant application, please include a project description about how the project money will lead to economic development throughout the state and your community specifically. Please include a budget, justification, and then a timeline for 12 months. And again, we will be asking for a 6 and 12-month report as to how the funds from the grant and the funds from your initial award will be spent. And then just to go into submitting your application, we ask that you submit your application to the partners at innovatealabama.org email address. Please, in that subject line, write the Innovate Alabama community designation, and then put the name of the community. Please submit the applications themselves in Microsoft Word format. We've had some folks also submit a PDF, which is fine, but please include that Word document for us as well. And then also please attach the Excel template with the innovation asset assessment to that email as well. We also allow, we're also asking and allowing you all to submit up to 3 supplementary materials in order to illustrate some of the impacts or existing efforts that you guys have already done. So please feel free to attach those up to 3 documents as well to that email. Just some do's and don'ts for applications. So please keep the answers for each question to 1,000 words or less, so 4,000 words in total. Please reference specific policies that you all have implemented or plan to implement, initiatives, relationships, and then impacts that your communities have already had. Please submit up to 3 supporting documents. We ask that those documents be limited to 10 megabytes each, and should be used to illustrate your narrative application. Please discuss the expected impacts of that grant award if you do apply for that, and focus on how the money will support disadvantaged workers or entrepreneurs throughout the state. Please be clear and concise and brief in your application. And then lastly, to my point earlier, please don't apply for multiple grant opportunities or double dip external partners. So just a brief timeline. The applications are already launched, they're online. We're having some webinars this week. Our applications will be closing on September 8th at 5 p.m. So please email your materials to that email address prior to that time. And then throughout September, we will be scoring these applications. And mid to late September is when you should hear about a designation and an award amount. And great, that's all the content I have. I'm opening up the floor for questions. So please let us know. You can write in the chat or unmute yourself if you've got questions you can answer. You're on mute, Cynthia.
I just said, don't be shy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Emily. I'm in Dothan. One question on the application, it talks about certifying the statements that you certify for the city or county. And I can't remember exactly, but let me see. Yeah, it says like the applicant should acknowledge understanding and compliance and the with reporting, and the applicant should acknowledge that it has read and understood the program guidelines. Can we just state that, or does that need to be in the form of a letter or resolution, or we can just state it?
State it if you're an authorized applicant or authorized to submit the application on behalf of your community.
Okay. So they don't necessarily have to pass a resolution or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
That's the first time we've gotten that question.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Anyone else? You guys are all crystal clear and we're going to see your applications within a couple of days. Okay, so if you guys don't ask questions, I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to start with Dina. Dina, tell us about yourself and what you intend to apply for. You're muted.
Hello, my name is Dina Pollard. I'm the Public Affairs Manager for Mobile County, and I'm just getting familiar with this. So I just wanted to listen in on this webinar to see how and what we can apply for. Our one of our commissioners suggested, strongly implied that we listen to this. So I'm here doing my part. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay, great.
Can I make one note, Cynthia, too? We plan to have this designation application, time open every year. So if you aren't able to apply this year, you will have the opportunity to do that again in the future. So just keep that in mind. And we also plan to have this grant portion annually. So just keep that in mind if you are unable to do it soon.
So, Jackson, you're smiling. I think you're next.
I'll be honest, I am here kind of doing the same thing as Dina is, just collecting some information. I know I'm here with the Association of County Commissions, so we're kind of just trying to look out for all the counties here in the state, collect the information, and then share it back with everybody. So this has been a great webinar.
Yeah, and I think we're going to do another one, probably next week,
Great.
just because I understand there's a conference going on and not everyone was able to attend. So
Yeah,
we'll do another one next week.
great. Okay,
Time TBD so that we can get everyone in.
wonderful. Thanks for letting me know.
Okay. Amy.
Hi, Cynthia. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Sturdivant. I'm with Shelby County, and I am the economic development part of Shelby County. But kind of along the lines of the question about a resolution from a county commission, I had made sure to bring in all of my county counterparts, including our county manager this morning, so that they would be aware that we would like to apply on behalf of our county as our economic development group, but we'll be getting their permission to do that. So I was feeling the same way as you were, looking at, do we need a resolution or an approval from the actual government to make that on their behalf? So I hope to have that in writing in the next few days. So
Okay,
it'll be
so
good.
that's a good question and probably one that we actually didn't think through. I wonder, Eve, if that should be a requirement.
I mean, that might be a Dan question.
Yeah, so let us speak with Dan and we'll get back to you guys, but right now our thought was that you would not have to have that resolution, but legal may think otherwise, so that's a good question. I'm really glad you guys brought it up. Great. Anything else? Do you guys have any other questions that would help you sort of facilitate and navigate the process? All right, well, then Eve, I guess you can close us out.
I'll get to go. Thank you